Welcome to 1 Million Cups. This is a great audience. I see new faces, which I love. Probably been. Okay, Paul, come up and has everyone checked in today? So this cool slide right here, where some people have trouble scanning the center barcode. Hopefully by next week, we're going to have a new presentation because the boss let me spend some money. And I bought an 86-inch television that we'll use to replace the 4-panel. I think it will make sound better because we can go through the TV. This one's complicated because there's 4. So, and presentations will look better. So everybody give a round of applause and thank you, Stuart, for the new TV. Like, next week we'll have a new. So I am trying to donate this one to a good cause. I did reach out to UN17. Those of you on Zoom can't see our television here. It's a huge monster of 4-panel TVs, which is beautiful in some sense because it's nice and big and everybody can see it, but it does have kind of the crisscross in the middle of the screen. So that's, hard to see sometimes if people don't align their presentation. And then the sound's always been hard to get through 4 devices. So hopefully this will make things easier and appreciate Stuart's commitment to 1 Million Cups. I'm donating this hopefully to UN17. He's coming to look at it today. If that doesn't work out and anybody knows of another entity that might be able to use it, the only thing that I would ask is that you hire a mover and help me get it out of here because it's not something I'm going to be able to take apart and deliver.
All right, 1 Million Cups, better, cheaper, smarter, faster. That's what we do.
I was wondering where you guys have been.
Yeah. No, they've been networking, right? All right, guys. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. There's a handout being passed around. You can point your phone at that, check in at 1 Million Cups. It helps us to keep track of who's coming. And if you check in 3 times, you'll get a pen. If you check in 6 times on different days, I hasten to add, you'll get a notebook. And it's great swag, so go for it. So welcome to 1 Million Cups. It's Wednesday morning, 9 a.m., so it's time to lift up entrepreneurs. So our mission is to lower the barrier of access to education, resource, and connection for entrepreneurs all across the United States. We're doing our part for New Mexico here. And how do we do that? There's a national and local mission. The national mission is put forward by the Kauffman Foundation, and they provide the infrastructure and the training for the organizers. We, in turn, train the presenters to conform to the 1 Million Cups format, which is different from a pitch deck. All right, we are the only 1 Million Cups chapter in New Mexico, and so we're killing it. There's lots of others in Texas and Oklahoma and even in Arkansas and Louisiana. So I have visited a couple of these physically and presented there prior to the pandemic. It looks like I'm going to be going back to Texas for that. I encourage any of you, if you're on the road and near anywhere that has a Million Cups chapter on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., drop in. There'll be a lot of people you don't know, but you'll recognize the format and the questions and the presentations will seem familiar. Okay, so what are our key pillars? What makes us different from a pitch deck? These are presentations, not pitches. In a pitch, your company is firing on all cylinders. You have the perfect team. All you need is money as an accelerant, and then you're going to knock off Facebook, Apple, and Google all in one shot. Okay, a lot of investors won't believe that. Like I think you'd be soft on that one, but the truth is different. Everybody knows that you start out with this dream, and there's a bunch of stuff you don't know, but you have beginner's mind. You say, I can do it even if I don't know those things. And then there comes a point in the operation of your company when somebody has to know those things, and then you have to reach out to the community. Everybody here knows things, and they know people that know things. So when you need help, you reach out, and your presentation is an exposure of your vulnerability and your challenges, and then you'll get help. So we're looking for authentic connections, not just passing out business cards. You'll note the conspicuous absence of many business support services here. So banks and insurance companies and lawyers, you know, they're not in the crowd here because it's Wednesday morning at 9 and they're in their office making money. So we're run for the community, by the community. All of the Million Cups organizers here are volunteers. We are not fanatical altruists. We all get something out of doing this. And we are radically and intentionally inclusive. All kinds of people at all stages of development, all kinds of companies, from brick and mortar, mom and pop operations, to whiteboard companies with a dream, to companies that don't really need our help for anything, but they're happy to drop by and talk, right? Everybody is welcome at Million Cups. And this is our mission. Because everybody's welcome, it means you should have a welcoming and helpful attitude. When people come up to you and ask you questions, do your best to be polite. If they say things that you strongly disagree with, it might be a good time to keep that to yourself. You know, let them find out the hard way, right? Okay, so let's be nice. This is a learning environment. It's a supportive environment. Let's help out all the other entrepreneurs that are here. It's also easy to apply to present. Now, you've heard the many benefits of presenting. If you haven't presented, I see a lot of you that haven't. If you have a business that's organized as a for-profit business, that is, the business model is you make things or provide services and you charge more for that than it costs to do that. That's a kind of business that we like. You've been in operation 5 years or less, but there are some exceptions for that. And generally, you should have a product in market. If you don't, but you've received grant money of some kind, especially a number with 2 commas, somebody likes your idea and we'd love to hear about it. So, and companies that are more mature and undergoing a reorientation are also welcome to present. So you can talk to any of the Million Cups organizers. There's going to be a slide in a minute so you can see who we are. And we'll be happy to coach you and set you up with a presentation time. So this is the organizing team. I'm Paul Sauter. Lisa Atkins is here. Eric Renz Whitmore, probably watching online. Adam's here and Sonia's here in real life, not just on Facebook. So talk to any of us. You'll also note there's room on this slide. If you think, if you know people that we don't know or things that we don't know and you have connections that we don't have and you're interested in being a 1 Million Cups organizer, talk to any of us about it and we'll see what we can do. Not everybody can paint a fence, you know. Tom Sawyer joke, right? Okay, so we'd also like to thank our sponsors, Fat Pipe, which has been our host for 8 years here. Bravo. Jason Collins Photography, always making us look good. More Than Organized, Miriam Martisi Pino, organizing your stuff, your mind, and your approach to life, and providing creamer. Foundation for Sustainable Living is providing coffee. Noventum Custom Software, providing custom software, but also importantly, donuts. And Envive Solutions, when they're there, providing tea. All right, thank you for joining us, and it's off to the presenter. Who's introducing the presenter? Sonia.
So I wanted to show everyone what big of an audience we have. So everybody's, that's our audience. We actually have like 16 people online. Okay. All right. Well, so this morning, so first of all, normally we try to keep our presenters to about 6 minutes. And when I was hearing this presentation, I didn't even notice how long the time went because the information that our presenter is sharing this morning is very interesting. And I think her story says a lot about where she is today. So I think you guys will appreciate this. Although she did scale it down a little bit. So Danielle, come on up. Yep, you got it.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Conscious Crossroads End of Life Services. So to start, I'm used to working with very small, intimate groups of people, maybe one-on-one most of the time, maybe a small group. And even at the end of that, one of those members has left. So bear with me and just know I'm nervous.
We're here for you.
Cool.
If it doesn't work, it's because I clicked elsewhere, so I'll try to help you get back.
Cool, perfect, thank you. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today. So who is Death Doula Danielle? Spoiler alert, me. Why Conscious Crossroads? Where did I come up with that name? What are the intentions and the missions of this business? What's an end-of-life doula and what's an end-of-life or death coach. Conscious Crossroads end-of-life services, I have a brief description of my services and my pay structure this time. And then challenges and requests from the community.
Oh, wait.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Danielle Slupesky, certified end-of-life coach and death doula. I received that training from the Conscious Dying Institute, which is a group up in Boulder, Colorado. It was a 6-month online course. I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area and then received my Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Cal State Hayward. I worked as an ER and trauma RN for a few years, although I'm no longer licensed and I don't nurse at the moment. In 2019, my husband and I moved to Albuquerque, and then last June, we sold our house here and moved down to Los Lunas. So we have a little over an acre, perfect for our dogs, Frankie Beans. And on a personal note, I say that my kitchen is my happy place and food is my love language. Brief pictures, there's my hubby and I at an event on St. Croix. We lived down there for about 5 years before we moved to New Mexico. There's Frankie Beans, like my babies. Luke with Frankie Beans down in Ruidoso. This one up here, I recently had the opportunity to go to Peru, and that's me getting a blessing from a shaman in the Amazon. And me in my happy place. I got a Cutco knife set last year and it was the best thing ever. Okay, so my why. So in 2013, I was working as a nurse. I was living extremely unconsciously, partying all the time, having a good time. And the universe needed to give me a huge wake-up call. So it did. I was out with a group of friends partying, broke my leg, ended up with a blood clot that traveled to my lungs, and then literally anything and everything that could have gone wrong did, including dying. I had a near-death experience in the OR, and I don't have time to go into any of the details of that, but the important part is it taught me that I am so much more than my body. I literally do not identify with my body now any more than my car sitting out there on the street. It is the vehicle that gets me around. Now with that, if I want it to be a Ferrari, I have to put good fuel in it, take care of it, all of those things. So it taught me to respect my body in a way that I never had before. So why conscious crossroads? So conscious, there's definitions up here, but the easiest synonym is just aware. So if we take that, excuse me, conscious and then crossroads, that's literally how I view death, as the intersection between two worlds. So when I arrive at my crossroads at the time of my death, I want to do so with the conscious awareness that I'm a spiritual being that has had a human experience. And it's now time for me to go home. So like Ram Dass says, I really do believe we're all just walking each other home. So my intentions for the business, number one, let's normalize conversations about death. None of us is going to make it out of here alive. And just like talking about sex can't make you pregnant, talking about death can't make you dead, right? So let's talk about it. I also want to de-sterilize and demedicalize this very natural process. This is something that used to happen at home, and we used to learn how to sit with it at a young age. Now it's been pushed, into hospitals and facilities and mortuaries and kind of behind closed doors. So my mission for my business is to bring death back home into the hands and hearts of our families and our communities. I think this process too also helps us with grief. When we're so far removed from the death process, it tends to keep us stuck in our grief cycle for longer. So what is end-of-life coaching? So just like life coaching, end-of-life coaching could be a huge catalyst for change in your life. We do it a little bit differently. We start by bringing your mortality to the forefront of your mind. So I'll sit with the client and walk them through a guided visualization where we basically get you to the point where you've received a diagnosis of some sort that limits your life expectancy to 3 months. So with that in mind, it's February 1st. So the doctors just told you, you probably won't see Memorial Day. You've seen your last Christmas, you've seen your last Thanksgiving already. So with that in mind, then we dive into some really serious questions. The younger, healthier, and sooner you do this process, the better. You don't want to wait until you're at the end of life. Because as we start to prepare for a conscious death, we automatically start to live a more conscious life. So the 5 domains that we work within are mental, emotional, spiritual, practical, and physical. So mental is basically your life legacy, your life story. This is where legacy projects come into mind. Oscar and Kikoa are back there. They do legacy documentaries. There are other companies that do specifically just that, and we can be so creative in this realm. Emotional. This is very relational, both your relationship with yourself and your relationship with others. If you knew you had 3 months to live, what relationships would you prioritize? Are you prioritizing them now? Why or why not? Spiritual. Where do you think you're going to go when you die? What are your beliefs about afterlife? Do you have specific religious practices that we need to keep in mind and honor? Practical. Do you have a durable power of attorney for when you can't speak for yourself? Not if, when. We all get to that point. Advanced directives. What are your plans for your body after you die? We're not limited to cremation and burial anymore. You could be turned into a diamond. You could be planted with the tree. You could be made into fireworks. I mean, literally, there are a million different options out there now. And physical. So this one really hits home for me. Although that photo is not me, that's a very typical, complicated ICU patient. Lots of IVs, lots of tubes and drains, extremely uncomfortable, noises and beeps and alarms. If we plan ahead of time, we can have a situation more like this one. How many people want to die at home? That's a huge majority. And I think most people would say at home in bed in your sleep, right? The latest data I could find at CDC was from 2018. But in 2018, only 31% of people died at home. That means 2/3 of us are dying in hospitals and facilities. Again, if we plan ahead of time, that doesn't have to be our fate. So what is a doula? So the word doula is just an ancient Greek word that means a woman who helps or serves. At the time, it was usually slaves and servants. The work of birthing babies, helping dying people, taking care of the sick is physically laborious, emotionally challenging, and often dirty. So it was relegated to just the help. So now doulas generally work in either birth and postpartum areas or end of life and death. There are a few doulas that call themselves lifespan doulas that do the entire span of all of it. All doulas offer non-medical support. So we work alongside hospice nurses and caretakers and those things, but we don't offer medical advice. We don't take care of anything physically. We attend to the entire person, not just a diagnosis and not just the physical body. At this point, doulas are not covered by Medicare or medical insurance. I think this has its pros and cons because it means that the cost falls on the client and the family when they're already having a hard time. But it means that we're not tied up in the red tape and the bureaucracy of all of that. No one has to qualify for my services and no one can tell me they can't, come see me. So again, we take care of the whole person. So in hospice is fantastic, by the way. I'm sure a lot of people have had experience with hospice, and most of them have some pretty good resources they can offer you, but their time and resources are extremely limited. They tend to focus on the physical and on the body. We could save tons of money with people working with doulas as well. Over 80% of all Medicare costs are spent in the last 3 months of life. That means we're giving chemo to 90-year-olds. We're putting 90-year-olds in the ICU because they had a stroke and keeping them there because they can't, take care of themselves anymore. Our Western medical model tends to prioritize extending life at all costs rather than prioritizing quality of life. So doulas take a very holistic approach, and we're not bound by the red tape and the bureaucracy, like I said, and we're very good at helping the family through the process, educating the family about what's happening and what to expect, focusing lots of support there. I had a client reach out to me last October. Her sister was dying. By the time I met her, her sister was completely nonverbal. She was within a couple of days of her death. Sister was terrified. So I had the opportunity to sit down with her and explain the stages of death, understand what was going to happen. And then when the time came, the hospice nurse called me and said she was imminent, meaning that she was probably going to die within the next 12 to 24 hours. I showed up at the house, we lit candles, we put on beautiful music, we had some lovely essential oils, and I talked the sister through her death. And in the end, it was beautiful. She was completely surprised and shocked that that experience could be positive, and it was. So right now, these are the services I offer. So the only thing someone can book on my website is a discovery call for free. That gives us the opportunity to get to know each other. I can find out exactly what they need, what their services can be. And then for life coaching, I like to start with an initial 90-minute consultation because that gives us more than enough time to dive into each other and determine if end of life coaching is best for this person. It's a very emotional process to dive into all of this. So if someone's not ready for it, I may be like, maybe you should talk to a mental health professional first or something like that. I need to stay within my scope of coaching. For the bedside vigils, it really depends how this works. Ideally, a client calls me before they're imminent, right? Before they're dying. We go through the whole coaching process and now I know what they want and I can help support them through that process when death time comes. If I haven't had that luxury and someone just calls me like the woman I just discussed, I liken it to this, you want to create the same environment in the room as when someone is giving birth, right? On our way into life, our mothers bear the burden of that and all of the pain and everything, the responsibility. On our way out, that responsibility is on us. So we just want to create the same environment that a woman would like to have in the labor process. Calm, quiet, sacred, those things. I also offer downsizing and organizing. This is great because it allows me to go through someone's belongings with them and hear their stories. There's so much attached to our things. It also gives us an opportunity to come up with legacy projects that someone may not have thought of, a collection or something like that, that they can give out with letters to loved ones. So at this point, just my challenges are educating the public that this even exists. It's getting better. NPR just recently ran a spread. There was a big article about medical aid in dying in the Albuquerque Journal a couple of weeks ago. So it's getting out there, but not a ton. Most people don't know that we're here. I also don't have social media and I don't want to have social media. So I need to do it all through word of mouth and referrals. It's an extremely intimate business. And I'm going to get to know these people and these families on a very deep level. I think it's important to do that face-to-face and kind of just word of mouth. So what I need help with is bookkeeping and taxes. I'm completely lost. I have no money to pay somebody the bajillions of dollars that they would require. So if someone can hook me up with someone inexpensive that can help with that, that would be fantastic. And thank you. I got the question.
Question, please form a line. We'd like to get you on camera so the Zoom audience can hear you. Be careful if you come this way that you don't trip. Make sure you introduce yourself, and we'll also take questions from people online. I'm gonna get out of your slide deck and copy your contact info, Danielle, and paste that for everyone.
Thank you.
I'm like, oh, there are a lot of people here today.
My name is Marlene Brown. I am photovoltaic faculty at CNL. I have my end of life plans set. I've paid for my funeral. I've got all of that organized. But is there anything for those that have thought about it? Would there be some parts of your services that I could still work with you on?
Oh,
Like even if I know where I'm going to be and all of that. I was just thinking there might be some things I haven't worked out every single aspect. Pretty close, but not everything.
Yeah, we dive into very specific things. What smells do you want in the room? What music do you want playing? When we're taking care of your physical pain, do you like massage? Do you like touch? Some people don't. And if you can't verbalize that to me, what I think I'm doing to help you may be actually causing more harm, right? So a lot of the plans that we make, and like with advanced directives, they talk about what we don't want. I don't want CPR. I don't want to be intubated. What we do is, what do you want? Let's dive into all of those things a lot deeper.
So I think that can be part of your business too, like, because I think some people know somewhat what they want, but maybe not everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So Miriam, you can go next, and I'll go to Sue, and we'll just switch back and forth.
Okay.
Carrie's first. Okay, thank you.
Miriam Ortiz Pino, More Than Organized. We need to partner up on some stuff. But also, I'm going through it with my parents right now. My mom has no problem talking about death, or we have the whole plan. My stepdad, every time we mention it, he like runs from the room.
Yeah.
So we're really half set up for that thing. So, but the other piece I noticed is you have some services that are just kind of individual services. Have you thought about packaging things into groupings to make it easier to sell?
Yes, but I haven't figured out how to do that the best.
Okay.
And what to, like, how to do that.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Okay,
Because
cool.
pricing, when you have a service, being able to sell a product, like, here's your all-in-one solution, or here's if you only need this part, here's if you only need that part.
Okay.
Rather than by the hour and hit and miss, it'll help your cash flow.
Okay.
And bookkeeping might not be as expensive as you think.
Oh, that's good news. Thank you.
Carrie, would you like to share your recommendation, which is an awesome one, please?
So I often recommend West to folks, and I haven't gotten any feedback as to how it's gone when I've sent them there, but I just did a quick search. West actually has a class tomorrow called Bookkeeping 301, Managing Your Books as a New Business Owner.
Oh.
And it is tomorrow. So if you want, I
We
can,
can speak to that
Ask
actually.
and you shall receive.
Laura.
oh, that'd be great.
takes Classes with that pipe and she loves them.
Yeah, they're good.
So it's just west.com.
WESST.
Okay.
Two T's, two S's, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Come on up.
All
Very
right,
nice.
thank you. Daniel, very good presentation.
Thank you.
I'm Martin, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
I'm with Allerpops, Doctor. Here. Meet everybody. I had two questions. First, I couldn't understand or hear what you were saying that you needed.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, for market traction, are you engaging the hospice, caregivers?
I
Is that-
volunteer with hospice at the moment,
Okay,
with High Desert Hospice.
okay,
That's the only hospice that I've worked with directly.
yeah,
Most hospices are, well, I can't think of one actually, they're actually hiring doulas. So it would really just be on a volunteer basis. And so I have my service spot, and this is one of my pain points, too, my sticking point,
Yeah.
is that I'm challenged by charging people money for these services. Right? I feel like everyone should have this and it should just be there. But so to get to the point of, not everything being volunteer,
yeah.
that's where I'm at right now.
That should be free, right?
It should be, it should be, it should be.
Well, it's interesting, because my mother had terminal lung cancer. And I was just going back to what you were saying, if she heard about your service, is she in the frame of mind where she'd want to call you and talk about this? Because you were mentioning 3 months, January, you get diagnosed, you're not going to make it to Memorial Day. So how would you engage somebody like her? I mean, in other words, she would have to be open-minded to find you on the internet. To say, oh, this service even exists. Am I even mentally ready to take this? In other words, death is at the door. Am I ready to open the door and face it? And I was just curious, what do you have in place to take somebody, to even get them to make that first phone call, because you're dealing with fear.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tons.
Just-
A lot of times it's a family member or a friend that says, hey,
Oh.
let's suggest this. So right now I'm actually going to start working with a woman referred by one of my friends.
Yeah,
She's terminal ovarian cancer. She's done all of the treatments she can. Everything has failed. She's giving up through 2 clinical trials that aren't working. So she and I had our first phone conversation. And the way I like to approach it is, hey, if none of these treatments go the way you plan, then what would you like to do?
okay,
We don't have to just go right into, okay, you're gonna die.
sure.
We kind of get them there softly. And with her, I'm going to work with her through all of these things and ask all of these questions and come up with what we call your ideal death plan.
Yeah,
And then we make a map of how to get there.
yeah,
It's like, this is our reality now. This is
Yeah.
where we want to be. What changes do we need to make along the way?
well, it's interesting. My mother went to a support group, and she had her lung cancer. And I was thinking maybe that's somewhere that you would go to engage.
That's
If
a
you
great
could make,
idea.
because there's groups of 20, 30 people, and they're all terminal.
Yeah.
So you're right in the hub of these people. And maybe you could work out an alliance with them where you can present.
That's a great
And you
idea.
get 30 people at once hearing about your service. And, the pool of people the size, law of averages, work in your favor. And I think you could build faster and get the word out. Yeah. Thank you.
That's a really good idea. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you.
And thank you
Good
for
luck.
sharing about your mom.
Yeah. thank
Sue
you.
Pelosny, you're next. I think I might have froze for a second on the screen. Is that what everyone's telling me?
Yeah, I think Danielle answered my question when she was speaking with the last gentleman, in the sense that how do you approach this very sensitive topic with a family member? But something you said earlier really resonated, and that was, don't wait till the end is near, but having maybe these engaging conversations as a family, or if it's a friend. I like that idea. It makes sense to me.
Oh, good, thank you. In fact, I was asking Dr. Norm yesterday the same question. How do you do this if someone's not interested or quite ready to go there? I find that very often they're not willing to do that with people that are close to them, with friends and family, but they'll talk to me because I'm separate. I'm outside of that. I'm a safe space. So for example, I worked with a woman last year that she has ALS, had ALS. And it was at the point she could no longer breathe on her own, BiPAP constantly. And so she decided to participate in the MAID program, which is medical aid in dying. So that's legal in New Mexico now as of 2021. So with her, she couldn't speak, obviously. She used her iPad, but her husband could not verbalize that she was going to die. And we had a date set, we had everything ready. He would start to talk and immediately lose it. So I had a moment where I pulled him here and he was sitting in a chair and she was in her recliner. I was holding his hand and holding her hand. And I felt like I was a conduit between the two of them, because he was able to say to me what he wanted to say to her, but he couldn't look at her and say it. But it's like I gave him permission to open up that way. And so very often just having like this third party can make a huge difference for people.
Thanks.
Come on up, Keiko.
So Keikoa, co-founder of Legacy Family Documentaries. I'm so glad you're here talking. This is beautiful.
I'm here because of these guys, by the way. They're the ones that pushed me to 1 million cups. Thank you.
Awesome. So you were talking about not really going to like a social media path, but still kind of promoting yourself with like the word of mouth. So you have a website, which means you're not afraid of using the internet, websites, that kind of access. I think me and Oscar are going to be kind of like, I'm going to be head, he's going to be tails, because we're going to be on two different sides. But something that you can use, I think would be interesting, is kind of like having an easy access like blog that you can do.
Okay.
Just because the information that you went over to all of us today connects to all of us, because we're all gonna eventually pass away. So just having some type of information, stories, testimonials, and just things to teach people about, and also a newsletter.
Okay.
So like having just like a QR code, and everybody here like, oh, just scan my QR code, you get access to my weekly newsletter, and you just send out something about your services or something about a story.
Okay.
Just having that retention or your words being put out there without having to be on social media and be connected to the millions and billions of people, which is good, but it could also be bad.
Yeah. Well, good. That's a really good idea. Thank you.
For sure.
Appreciate you.
Luke, would you like to make your comment out loud? It's beautiful.
Sure.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, just wanted to tell everybody I'm very proud of Danielle. She's amazing at what she does, and I love her very much, but I know that she can change people's lives. So thank you for all that you're doing and for your networking.
Hi, I think we know each other. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be the little devil on your shoulder.
Okay.
Keiko as the angel. I personally think that you should move to social media, and it doesn't have to be the hardcore like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram kind of social media. I'm thinking more so kind of grouping first, getting your community in line, things like LinkedIn, or finding networking groups right now are like on Slack. I hear, what else
I
is
don't even
there?
know what Slack is. What's Slack?
LinkedIn would be so good for you.
Yeah.
And it's very professional.
Very professional. And what you could do with that is then start getting some traction by posting exactly what you do, who you are. Because I feel like a lot of people don't know that this is a service that's being offered. Kind of like us, it's really niche, and nobody really understands, like, especially whenever you're in that time period, you're not looking for services like that. You're currently looking for funeral costs, or you're looking for cemetery, it's not really on your mind. So something that can help prepare you for that, getting your word out there. I think social media is the way to go.
Think about it.
Thank you.
You do
I'll
have
keep that in mind.
an offer to help with bookkeeping services.
Oh, yay.
So I will connect you with Amber.
Thank you, Amber.
Come on up.
Hi,
You're welcome.
great presentation.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Norm with Dr. Norm's Connections. I'm in the dementia prevention business. I got two quick questions. One is, on one of your slides, it said that Medicare will pay for the last 90 days. I'm just wondering if there's a link on the Medicare site so I can tell when my last 90 days are.
So I, just to clarify that comment, what I said was 80% of all Medicare costs are spent on the last 3 months of life.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that means that, again, we're spending tons of money and effort and resources on people that, I mean, it's hard to put it this way, but I mean, at 80, 90 years old, nature is going to take its course at some point, you know? And so what are we doing? You know, we're just kind of, we're hanging on because it's hard to let go.
Thank you. I plan to live to be 100+ years old and
Love
good
it.
health and all that, but
Good.
hope to use your services down the road, maybe a quarter of a century from now. But
Perfect.
but in the dementia business, and the patient doesn't even know you're in the room. Can you talk a little bit about how you?
Absolutely. I can speak to that specifically. So John here was his mother was dying. She had Parkinson's and was nonverbal. So I wasn't sure exactly how much she was going to be able to interact or what was going to happen. I went with him to her nursing home and we performed an anointing ritual with his mom. We just take some essential oils and place them on different parts of the body and basically kind of say a prayer of gratitude for that body part. Everything it's been through and everything it's done for us throughout our lives. And although she wasn't verbal, she immediately made deep eye contact with me and stayed with me the whole time, to the point where eventually my words just trailed off. I didn't need to speak anymore. We were soul to soul. And so it's not necessary for someone to even be aware. You know, the other woman I talked about with her sister, completely nonverbal, like I can't tell you what she was aware of with me being there, but her breathing got calmer. You know, we turned the TV off and we quieted down the noise, and you can see them visibly change, you know, even though they can't tell you. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah.
Carrie, that is a brilliant idea. Why don't you share?
So I recently prepared my living trust and will. And so I even, made a list of who wasn't allowed to go to my funeral kind of thing. And I'm perfectly healthy. But I think I'm in a better state of mind, not, being healthy to think about that. So working with lawyers or people that prepare living trusts and wills, to get people thinking about that, or, giving them your contact information so that it's in the documents even, because it's sort of a new concept, right? So like getting people thinking about it way ahead of time through that conduit. I don't know.
That's a fantastic idea. That's really good. I love that. I have a list of kind of places like that to contact, oncology offices, dialysis clinics. Now I have support groups and lawyers added to my list, so thank you. And just to speak to just a second, you said, it's kind of a new concept, and it is, but it's not. I mean, it's just a resurgence of an ancient tradition. This just used to be how it was always done. So we're just kind of trying to go back a little bit. Thank you very much, Carrie.
Hello, Danielle. I loved your presentation.
Thank you.
And who you are, and speaks volumes about what you do. So thank you. The thing that has come up for me is I did a workshop recently from Google. Okay. So I hear you don't really want to go social media, Oscar. I get that. And where do people go when they're looking for your services? They Google it. So if you make sure in your website, you have those key phrases. How do I die the way I want to? How do I find out what it is people are searching for? And put that in your website. Make sure you've got those key phrases, maybe even the tabs across your website.
Okay.
Have it be part of the question that people are asking. That way, when they go to Google, you show up as your website. The other possibility is get a Google gonna mess up this. Google business,
I have that.
Google my business. And make sure if you're doing blogs, you're sticking them on there, get people to give referrals and.
You can put your blog posts on
Yeah.
Google.
You can put a little post on there, a picture and a little
Okay.
phrase and link it to the blog.
Okay, thank you. So good,
Thank you.
good clarification. So those are places so that you can just do what you're doing and have Google help you out.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Adam, and I do Sparks Flow, which is organizing and also brain focused company.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you're doing a lot of volunteering. You're tight on money, so you are concerned about being able to have a bookkeeper. And I'm getting the impression that maybe, and you got to tell me if this is true or not, you're concerned about talking about money.
Absolutely.
So this kind of is funny because you talk to people about things they're afraid of.
Yes. Yes.
So there might be something here is like, you know, is there something, what's with money that makes it hard to talk about?
Good question.
Limiting beliefs.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely is what it comes down to. And I'm very aware of them, you know, and I'm in the process of working on them. I've done better than I have in the past, but it's still a sticking point for me. It's hard. You know, I mean, if it was up to me, we'd go back in the day where everything was bartered. You know, I'd come help you in your house and like, you give me some eggs, you know, maybe some stuff out of your garden. And then I go back to my kitchen and I can eat, you know, and I understand now that money is the same. It's just an energy exchange and it's necessary for the society we live in. But yes, I fantasize and romanticize about going back to that time.
It's not necessary, but it might be handy.
Yes, very true.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Alan? Carrie says she deals with lots of women who have problems charging for their services. We all know that. Alan, do you have some thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, Danielle, it's hard for me to express how important I think your work is. I first touched this issue several decades ago when a very dear friend of mine was dying. And she expressed that she was very uncomfortable because she felt she was taking up too much of my time. And it turned out that myself and one other person were the only people who would allow her to talk about her death. That whenever that came up with anyone else, they changed the subject. And I responded to her with, "Do you like helping people?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, so do I, so give me a break." And probably the most important connection to this I had was with my mom when I literally gave her permission to die. And it was a profound experience. I was part of a group that worked very hard to get the law passed in California that allowed doctor-assisted dying. And you see that you related to our article in the journal a couple of weeks ago. There's so much political pushback on this. And so there's a strong tide against the idea of even talking about it. What I'd like to do, I will send you an email. I went and looked at your website. There's some suggestions that I might have. I'm retired from a lot of different careers. And I'd be happy to lend you any assistance that you would like to get from me. And I'll do that for you at no cost, because I really think what you're doing is important. And I hope so much for your success.
Thank you very much, Alan. I look forward to staying in contact. Yeah, thank you.
Sue, you had another suggestion. Sorry, I missed you.
Oh, that's okay. I was wondering if you could contract with the hospitals, just like the hospice organizations do, and offer your services through them that way.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how they would, because I'm not medical. and I'm not licensed as anything medical at this point. It's something to approach and to talk about, but I'm not sure that it would work.
And not all hospice is medical. Some hospice is just comfort care. So on that tangent, I think you might be able to, or at least worth looking into.
Absolutely. Thank you. Everything is worth looking into it right now.
Did anyone see the last episode of The Last of Us? Talk about, I'm not spoiling, I'm just saying. You need to watch it because, have you seen it?
I know.
Oh, you need to watch it. And it's very appropriate what we're talking about.
All right, I'll come over here so people can see me and let's see. So I have 2 questions for you.
Okay.
Number 1, red or green?
Christmas. All the way.
All right, awesome. And what can we as a community do for you?
Referrals, like I said, and talk about this. You know, talk about it with your family members while you're healthy, while you're both okay. It doesn't have to be taboo. Like, let's bring it to the forefront as just part of our natural cycle. You know, we can't avoid it in the end, so let's not avoid it now.
All right, awesome.
Fantastic.
I think we have time for a short activity or something. What do you think, Paul?
There's a lot of new pieces.
There are a lot of new.
All right, let's do that.
If you're new, you've never been here before, love you to introduce yourself. Tell us how you heard about 1 Million Cups. Come on, I see more new faces. I see lots of new faces in here. Don't be shy. We're very friendly. We don't bite too hard. And then if you're new online, just raise your hand and I'll call on you as well. Come on up.
Thank
Martin,
you.
right?
Yes, Martin Witt. I'm with Aller Pumps. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to see this organization. Heard about it through Dr. Hahn. And I'm with Aller Pumps. What would you like me to share?
That's, are you here because you're helping him prep for his 1 Million Cups
Yes,
presentation?
yes,
Good.
yeah. And I'm a lead investor, so I'm going to join and participate.
Nice.
Be proactive. I think it's true.
We love that you're
It's a
here.
great forum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and
Thanks
good
for
luck to
coming.
everybody.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Belle. I was recommended here by Barbara Dawson and I've never met her in person.
Hello.
Hello, nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting me here. I am a real estate agent and I just started my own company called Casa Leal, which is a design and construction liaison and consultation firm. So I do a lot of things, real estate, wholesale, so on and so forth. But thank you, Barbara, for it was amazing. Thank you. Thank
Sounds
you.
like you'd be a great presenter.
Thank you. You know, yes, absolutely. I would love your guys' drinks. Thank you.
Ladies.
We came with our school, Sandra Leadership High School, with the principal. My name's Haley and I'm Madison. We're both 10th graders at Sandra.
Very nice. What did you think of the format? What do you think of 1 Million Cups? Yeah,
Cool.
great. When you start your businesses, are you going to come and present to us?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we should do a presentation on Siembra and talk about some of the education that happens there. I think that would be a fun and interesting talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's connect before you leave, okay? Thanks for coming, ladies. Thank you. Paul Mitchell, you have your hand up.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm new to Million Cups. And I'm here this morning because I'm a volunteer companion at hospice and I'm just starting doula training. And so this was very interesting to me, Danielle. I'm a retired CPA. So, you know, Benjamin Franklin said only 2 things in life are certain are death and taxes. So I did taxes for 40 years. So I think maybe I'll try the other certain thing. So, but I'd love to have a conversation with you, Danielle, at some point and just kind of get a little information from your path and as I start on mine. But really enjoyed your presentation this morning. Thank you.
Please email me, Paul.
I will.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Dana, have you been here to one of the before?
7 years.
Oh, reintroduce yourself.
I
we
didn't know if
need
I was cheating.
Come on over here by the exit of the audience to see you on Zoom.
Paul Mitchell's an amazing guy, by the way. He just
Ah.
gifted me a wonderful book, so if
Nice.
you didn't get my email. My name is Dana Kohler. I own a cactus brewing company in Bernalillo, but I also just started a new venture. It's a nonprofit organization called UN17. That's actually not too far from here, where we're encouraging social enterprise and teaching corporate responsibility. So moving businesses in the direction to support their community and not just disconnect with profitability. And so that's what we do. But I appreciate you letting me introduce myself again. I think it was literally like 7 years ago that I was here, and I loved it then, and I feel bad that I wasn't back since, because it's a beautiful group that you always have. And so thank you very much.
You're welcome, Dana. Thanks
Appreciate
for
you.
coming. Got all the newbies. We do have a few of the events if you'd like me to go over those. So there's one in the chat window. It looks like there's an NM Bio Lunch and Learn on February 16th. The guys from Activate are here. You guys want to come up and, I know ski lift pitches in a couple weeks. You can't present, but you could certainly buy a ticket and go watch the pitches, right?
Yep. So hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Bargel. I'm the program director for all the entrepreneurship programs at CM Ingenuity, including Activate NM. So we have quite a few things coming up with events. So February 17th, we have our startup office hours or via Zoom. Anybody can drop in if you need expert help from in sales, marketing, pitch practice, finance, fundraising, strategy. Just come on in. It's open and free to everyone. Also, in Hoodify will be our featured founder presenting in that one, so they'll get a couple minutes in there. Also, Ski Lift Pitch is January 23rd. It's in Taos. Yes, February 23rd. Thanks. It's in Taos. We still have a few tickets available for anybody that wants to attend for that. There's about $500 million worth of capital in the room. And the top prize, well, we've already announced who will be pitching semifinalists, but if you've never been there, it's a lot of fun. You literally pitch one-on-one with an investor going up the ski lift, come down, do that 3 times to 3 different investors, and then we come back to the lodge and for the final presentations. What am I missing? Oh, March 9th is Startup Fiesta. So we had our first Startup Fiesta in November. We're doing it again. Everybody, the biggest comment we got back was a really fun event. It needs to be bigger, bigger space. So we're going to a bigger space. We're going to be in Chatter this time. We need 16 companies that want to do micro pitches and showcase. And those usually go pretty quick. So the application is open now. And we have a couple of folks that were, Oscar and Co are there, and Sonia, they were in the showcase last time. So come on down and enjoy that. So I think that's all the events, right, Chris? Oh, Fuse Makerspace is having a social hour on February 17th at Fuse, right across the street here. So thank you.
Hey, Carrie, I know
That way.
that the city of Albuquerque is doing a fun pop-up for Valentine's Day. Do you want to share about that?
Thank you. Yes, on 11th, which is the Saturday before Valentine's Day, from 10 to 2 at the Hispano Chamber. We have a pop-up of about 30 plus vendors and food trucks, Valentine themed. You know, we've got florists and jewelry makers. A couple of my little small business office baby businesses that this is going to be their first event they've ever done. So I'm really excited about it. So I would love for good attendance for them.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Dr. Norm, do you have something?
I have an announcement.
All right.
I'm Dr. Norm with drnormsconnections.com. I will be doing a presentation for the Hearing Loss Association of Albuquerque on February 18th at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I will be talking about the connection between hearing loss and dementia. Hearing loss is the highest modifiable risk factor for developing dementia. I've been deaf most of my life. I don't have dementia. This is St. Louis, Missouri. All jokes aside, it is a serious thing to consider. So I'll be doing a presentation there on how I prevented and avoided getting dementia and some of the risk factors that we can all take advantage of and learn about so we can avoid that. Thank you.
Awesome. Corbin.
Good morning, 1 Million Cups. My name is Corbin. I'm with Simple Quantum Computing. I just want to let you guys know that I am starting a security enthusiasts group, if you will, cybersecurity enthusiast group, more than likely at the UN 17 facility. The date will be on the February 22nd. That'll more than likely be the first one. So if you or anybody else is a cybersecurity enthusiast, so far the title is Albuquerque Low Tech Anonymous. It's modeled after one of the meetings out in Austin, Texas. So if you're familiar with AHA out there, it's that. If you're interested, I have my cards here on the table here in the back, or you can email me at Corbin, that's CORBAN @simplequantum.com. Thanks.
John?
Thank you, Lisa. John Chavez, New Mexico Startup Factory. Tomorrow at the UNM Rainforest is the New Mexico Tribal Entrepreneurial Enhancement Program info session. It's at noon, and if you want the invite, I can get it to you. And tomorrow also at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber is the Arrowhead SBIR organizational information process. And so you can register at NMFast, and it's to educate folks on what it means to get and take an SBIR.
Awesome. And so let's see, do you guys remember Jason Barnett? He presented a couple weeks ago. He's going to start a leadership series, 6 parts. It'll be over 6 months. The first one is, what type of leader are you? It will be February 23rd here at 11:30. We do ask that you register. I guess that's it, Paul.
So last week, Adam Halpern gave a great charge to this community to reach out and help each other. How many of you did something besides attending 1 Million Cups last Wednesday? Raise your hand. Okay, so I see a couple of winners here. I ran into Kakoa at the founders event, and I had a spare ticket for the New Mexico Angels quarterly gathering, and he got there and worked the room in a way that would make all of you proud. So show up and do it. And then I was at the Allerpops webinar yesterday, and they asked some really easy questions for fun prizes. They just threw the ball right over the middle of the plate, and I won some Allerpops. So I'm proud to say, like, when you give the community, it gives back. I gave my wife my loratadine, otherwise known as Claritin, right? Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with Allerpops until I see if I can get through this incipient allergy season without it. We had a great conversation. We're going to talk some more about the science today. So that's what you ought to do, folks. Just run into people and see if anything good happens. Usually something will. So see you next week. Come back with a success story.
See you next week.
Right.